Great Odin's
Bro,
beard.
holy
Jeff.
mackerel. That scared me.
Great Odin's beard.
Odin's beard?
Yeah, great Odin's beard.
Nice.
For the love of hammer. How are you?
Good. Good.
Yeah.
It's Thursday.
It is. I have personally felt, in fact, do you know that on Monday I said to my wife, it's been the longest fucking week ever.
It is, and it has seemed that way.
I said that on Monday.
Like 3 hours into it, right?
There's that. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody's making their way in. We've got, snap, Greg is in the house, and probably a few other folks coming along. We've got a really good show today, and one that I'm excited about because I've talked to our guest a few times in the past. This was one of those LinkedIn connections and relationships that I was like, I'm just wildly interested by you. And I just think, I read her posts and dig her thought process and insight. And it's outside of my normal purview of things I'm thinking about, but she's got a great background and a great life, and she just really cool. I love being able to meet, and I'm excited, Jeff, because you get to meet her today and all that, and everybody else that's going to have that opportunity. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. The show title today is What Your Walls Know About You, or maybe more aptly, Your Home is a Mirror, Not a Showroom. Or, just kind of, we'll get into why we're calling it that. There's a lot to talk about. Jeff, have you ever walked into someone's house and immediately kind of learned things about them without them ever saying anything?
Yes. And it's just maybe it's an OCD thing. I don't know, but I'll walk into a space and I'll either feel like really super uncomfortable right away because of the way things are arranged or the way things look, or it'll be the opposite. I'll just feel super calm and like, oh, this is my jam.
Yeah, I get that. And sometimes you could just pick up on people's vibes, and there's certain vibes that people give off. I don't know. My wife always calls me a displayer of things, which is funny because so is she. I like to display the things I have, whether it's spices or whatever. And her big obsession is sea glass. So, and the pot calling the kettle black, she's got sea glass all over the place. We got it everywhere. And the cats especially seem to really love that. Our guest today also has a cat or cats, and we'll talk about them too. So this is Where the Dogs of Society Howl. And Jeff, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that for anybody that can't make it in, hey, Rob, that's twice in 2 days we've seen Rob.
That's right.
Richard, is just to remember, and Stefan, is that you can watch or rewatch any of these podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our YouTube Brandartica channel, which you'll see a dedicated playlist to all things Where the Dogs of Society Howl. I will ask you, if you could, to do us a favor and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, just double check and see if you've subscribed to that channel, because sometimes they fall off. And we've heard recently that some people thought they were subscribed or were somehow unsubscribed. So if you could double check that, and on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, drop a I don't know, 4 to 5 stars up on there, and leave a review of the shows that you've enjoyed, and we'd appreciate that greatly because it helps out. Yes, anything I missed there, Jeff?
No, you covered it very well.
Didn't I? I did a nice job.
Very nice job.
We're also going to talk a little bit today at some point about a fellow named Abraham Maslow and the role he's going to play in our discussion. Somebody that I've never really heard of, but some of his thoughts on things are things that I have heard of. And we'll find out more about all that. So
cool.
We've got our guest in the green room, and our guest's road to interiors runs right through an MA in history, philosophy, psychology, and pedagogy exams from teacher training and design school at KLC Chelsea Harbour. And, she was doing all that stuff until the awards started piling up, and then she just never stopped. Her line At least that's what I'm picking up from here is home isn't a showroom, it's a mirror. Our guest today, make some noise, make it loud, make it proud, is all the way from London town.
Whoa.
Dagmar Holub. Dagmar, welcome to Where the Dogs of Society Howl.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Awesome. So we were chatting a little bit about gardening and
That's right.
strawberries and raspberries and all of that fun stuff. And you were saying it's a lovely day in London town.
I know. Amazing. Hot, sunny.
I
Not a
love
cloud in sight.
What's the hot thing going on in
hot
England
thing
right
in
now? What's
London?
the big? What's all the hubbub about? Is there
35
anything?
degrees. 35 degrees. That's
Okay.
hot.
That's
Yeah.
hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy. Well, wait. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
It's Celsius.
Celsius.
I don't- I
It's
never
Celsius,
know.
not Fahrenheit.
I
No.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
Sorry,
That's
I
awesome.
think in meters and in Celsius. Okay.
Right.
Just to clarify.
We got the clouds though. We have the clouds here in New England.
That's right. That's right.
Old
and-
England has the good weather.
Oh man, we've got I gotta tell you, we got our first guest from Kathmandu in the house today.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
Kathmandu.
Oh, hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary, what's up,
Oh,
Gary?
Gary.
All right.
Gary's
Super
actually an
cool.
old friend of mine from very many years ago. So, yeah, it's nice to see him joining. So,
Awesome. I love that. See, we're learning. We're already learning. So, for our audience who's just coming in, you're late, but grab a seat, grab a donut, whatever you need. We'll do shots afterwards. Dagmar, if you could just tell our audience a little bit about you and what you do currently.
okay. So, I'm Dagmar, and I call myself a philosophy designer these days. Okay. And I'd like to clarify that that's not a gimmick. I actually paid for someone to try to decipher my dilemma. So I saw this video by Caroline McHugh, and it was titled "The Art of Being Yourself," and it was a TEDx talk. Currently, the video has about 17 million views, and I would everybody sort of recommend to check it out. It's really inspirational. And there was a lot in that video that I resonated with. So I was trying to figure out how could I get in contact with her. And then I found out that there was a company called ID Partnership. And although Caroline kind of removed herself and went down the sort of the spiritual route, they continued with her sort of how would I say it, a foundation and a legacy. So I was being connected with someone called Katie Casey, and we've had a chat, about 4-hour, 5-hour chat. And at the end of it, basically, she said, "Okay, so you're a philosophy designer and a storyteller." I'm like, okay, that's great. and it was interesting because, you know, I was trying to understand the sort of the conflict that I was experiencing because my background, as you have mentioned, is in humanities, and then the world of interiors, because these worlds were somehow not particularly compatible. And the world of interiors, I personally think, has a bad reputation because it pays attention to surface. It's a very sort of surface level thing, and I'd like to think that there's more to it than that. So this is how I got to adopt the name that was being given to me, and I would say that it was really sort of a dark night of the soul that helped me to start digging deeper and finally sort of bringing out the body of work that resonates with the title that I've been given very many years ago, because that was basically 2016. Okay.
Okay.
So,
I hear a special. Do you have an extra guest with you today? I can hear
yes,
them.
I know.
Who is it?
Amber.
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 Oh,
Okay, Amber actually has babies. There's
Oh.
and they're next door. But I think she does sort of come because she wants attention and she wants cuddles, and she starts bringing them to bed. So that's kind of exciting. You know, I woke up the other day with like Amber and my son and 4 little ones.
I love it. And is Amber a Siamese cat?
Well, she's an Oriental, but
Okay.
we had a bit of an accident. She was basically in heat and managed to escape and took things into her own hands.
Yes. Yes.
We have an
had a cat
Oriental mix right now.
that did that.
Right on the town.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. I had a cat. She lived for about 24 years. I called her Molly, and I spelled it with a Maul because she was vicious, just a feral creature. She got out one time, and I was like, fuck, looking all over the place for her. And I found her sitting like in my driveway behind the house on top of a basement door, like a bulkhead. And I found her, and I was like, oh my God, thank God. But how I found her, I didn't know she was there. How I figured she was there was because there was about 4 or 5 other male cats. Oh, hello. You.
Amber.
I love the arms. Hello.
I know.
Oh my God. Yeah, she was being surrounded by suitors that were all sort of staring at her. And I noticed that all of them were beat up, scruffy, and bloody. And I was like, oh, Molly just took it to them, wasn't having it. So, oh my God, she's a beautiful cat.
Well, the thing is, I just was so heartbroken because we've had this really beautiful Havana boy chosen for her. And I just got her tested and everything, and she was ready to go, and then she managed to escape. And I was like, I hope it hasn't happened, and it did happen. So
she did. Oh, for goodness sakes, Amber. She went slumming, and you know what happens when you go slumming. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. So, what I find really interesting, and to me, because before we actually spoke, I was reading your post and we were interacting, and a lot of your imagery spoke to me. And I loved that. I knew you were an artist, but also a very intelligent human who had a lot of depth. You started, is it true? You started in history, philosophy, and psychology. Was there a moment that actually that you went, I can transition this into something else, into interior design?
Okay. So you want to know how it happened?
Yeah. How did that happen?
How did that happen? Okay. Well, I studied history and philosophy. So that's what I've got my MA in. And I also did the teacher training. So for that, I had to do state exams from Psychology and Pedagogy. And how did I get into interior design? Well, it's an interesting question because I blame a heartbreak.
Oh, yeah, we can often blame that.
A heartbreak. And basically what happened, I was 30 years old. I broke up with this guy. He was English American, by the way. And I was hoping that we would buy together, but because that wasn't going to happen, so I decided to purchase an apartment in Bratislava's old town in Slovakia. And I bought this sort of really spacious 1-bed flat, and it needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I decided to do that long distance. I wouldn't recommend for anybody to embark on such an adventure, especially if you try to do something you haven't done before. From London, the flat's in Bratislava. My dad was happy to help me out, so he built his own house with my mum. So I had someone on a team who knew what they were doing, but again, he wasn't in Bratislava. My parents live on the other side in eastern Slovakia, so that's about 450 kilometers from Bratislava, and I'm in London. Oh. So, it took me a number of months to get this place done up. And I was doing it as if I was to move in there myself. So my parents kind of got overexcited that I was going to move back into Slovakia and live in Bratislava. But that never really materialized because I sold the flat. And there's so many people commenting on what I have done, and that was amazing. And I loved the process, of transformation. So I thought this was interesting. I could do that for a living. Okay, so that's where the idea came from. And I basically, at that time, I was working in travel. So I was working for a company called Gulliver's Travels Associates. And
Okay.
I was like, well, if I want to go into interior design, what's the point of staying in travel? I might as well just resign and, sign up for an open plan course, try to find a job within an industry. And that's what I did. So I resigned, I signed up for an open plan course, and I started looking for a job in interior design, and I thought it was going to be easy. So, and when things weren't quite happening, I thought, well, I have to change the strategy. So I basically printed out my CV and I went to this King's Road in London. So it's a very posh road with all these furniture showroom, high-end furniture showroom. I was basically knocking on the doors and I said, hi, I'm Dagmar. Here's my CV. I'm looking for an entry-level position in interior design. Would you employ me? Do you need anyone? And I actually got a job like that. They said yes from Pierre Frey. So my first job was working for a French fabric house called Pierre Frey. And I was there for about 3 months. And then from there, I saw a position advertised at another showroom. It was called Andrew Martin. Don't know if you ever heard of them. There's a gentleman called Andrew Waller, and he basically runs Interior Design Awards, and he's got this showroom which is like an Aladdin's cave. And he loves to travel all around the world and bring in lots of artifacts and quirky furniture and you name it. So it's just like an amazing place. But my start there wasn't in a showroom. I was in furniture sales, sort of upstairs in their office, and then after about 6 months, the position became available in their showroom, and I kind of moved, and then from there I managed to secure a project, and that's how it all started. So
wow. I love that. And I mean, I think we've all been there in some way, shape, or form of the I know when I went knocking on doors with my resume, or as you aptly said, a CV. I remember, and most of those doors just were slammed in my face. It wasn't happening. But I remember those days, and it's obviously not how people do things today. You did mention something that I wanted to ask you about. It's off script. So
okay.
Not that there's a script, but
there's
usually some kind of loose plan, if you will. But, you mentioned living in Slovakia. So my wife's father, his family's from Slovakia.
Oh, wow. Whereabouts?
Yeah. I don't know. I do know this, that he's like, he wasn't born over there, but so he's like second generation here. But I do know that the village that their family came from is like at the bottom of a lake these days. It's gone. I guess they put in a dam or something and flooded the village. Yeah.
Where I'm from, there's a big reservoir called Domasha, and they flooded quite a few villages to fill it all up with water.
Crazy. It's one of those.
God knows, maybe one of
those.
Could be.
We could be closer than we know. But it's funny because when I first met her and we started spending all this time together and we got married, her father's Christmas, so for me, I love Christmas. But they have her father has this traditional Slovak Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve. Are you familiar with some of the tenets of that meal?
Yes. I lived in Slovakia until the age of 25. So yes.
So I forget what they call it, but he calls it sauerkraut soup.
It's a sauerkraut soup. That's right. And with mushrooms and garlic and Bobalki. Oh my goodness, I had no idea that you had Slovakian roots.
Yeah.
Made my day.
Yeah, and I forget what they call the wafers, the wafers, with the honey and the religious pictures. It's like communion.
Oplatki.
Yes, oplaki.
Yeah, that's right.
And the pink one is for the dog.
Yeah, and you're supposed to dip a raw garlic in a honey and eat that with oplatki.
Okay. So I, to be honest with you, I grew up in an Italian family and, I was more skewed towards the Feast of Seven Fishes. And when I first had this at first, I was like, dude, what is happening here? Because his version of this meal is so meh. Here's some frozen fish sticks, and here's this. He spends all his time on the soup, which I was always like, I found out later there's a few different versions of this soup that can be outstanding. He just doesn't seem to have an interest in making those. He wants to make whatever version he's got. But I always thought it was so funny. And over the years now in our family, because we host Christmas Eve, with out of respect for, everybody's feelings, we do a combination of the Feast of Seven Fishes and the Slovakian traditional Christmas Eve dinner.
Oh, wow.
But when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, she must know these things.
I do.
How funny.
Is this like the standard, like, because I'm Eastern European,
Yeah,
my descendants, whatever it's, and it's always the same. Like, there's not a green vegetable in sight, type of thing. Where, it's meat and like root vegetables is basically the standard fare, right? My background is Ukrainian.
Sauerkraut is good for you.
Yeah. I mean, we always grew up with all that stuff. We had sauerkraut that was cooked and sauerkraut that was pickled in a jar like pickles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny. I've tried on occasion to get her father to amp it up, and I've said, look, you bring the soup and the oplaki and the babalki. I'll take care of the fish because I'm cooking 7 fish anyways. Why do we need an 8th fish? That's just bad luck. With the Feast of Seven Fishes, you're only supposed to do an odd number of dishes. So I told him, we're not doing, no offense to the Gordon's fishermen or Gloucester, but we're not doing that. So I would cook a whole fish, some people aren't used to seeing something like that. They're like, ew. I'm like, it's still fish. It just looks like a fish. It doesn't look like some weird breaded chicken slab, right?
Formed fish.
Anyway,
stick.
I digress. I love that we share that bit of history. That's genius. I love it. But
just going back to when you were in the showrooms.
Yeah.
In terms of the different experiences that you had, is there anything that was there anything extreme that happened that really kind of taught you as far as that stands out like as a major thing that you had a challenge you had to overcome?
I think it was kind of fascinating to observe how people with a lot of spending power shop, as they basically shop for furniture as if they were in a supermarket shopping for food. Okay, and I remember sort of there was this Russian guy that walked in and he bought cushions like worth £10,000 and he paid with cash. At that time, we were still able to accept cash. I think nowadays, you cannot pay with cash when it comes to such a large sort of order.
Yeah.
And we had lots of sort of interesting people popping in, especially in. I remember at Pierre Frey, we had to close the showroom once because we had Orlando Bloom. So walking in and, as soon as there was like a big sort of celebrity client, they would just lock the doors and the champagne had to come out. And that. So we had a similar situation in, Andrew Martin. There was a Thai princess who came with her 25 designers.
Wow.
And when she sat on the sofa, they all went down on their knees. That was just like hilarious. We were so shocked. We were just like, what was that? And they were all just like scribbling, and she was just walking around and she was like 5 mirrors, 3 sofas, it was just like, it was fascinating to observe,
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
It reminds me of like the stories like they talk about in Beverly Hills where the people come after hours and they basically have the store to themselves and
I was involved in that once. It was although later when I went to court because of it, they called it breaking and entering in the night. So it wasn't, it was different in a sense, but
that's a little different. Yeah.
It was after hours. I had the store to myself. And I just was picking out all the things. No, it reminds me of getting married and having the wedding registry and going to like a Williams Sonoma. And my wife was like, never again. I'm like, well, do you think we'll have another chance to do this? I think this is it, right?
Right.
Hopefully. But I remember getting the little clicky gun and I was in a Williams Sonoma, which is if you're unfamiliar, it's a, it's a high end, kitchen.
So
I bang, bang, bang. I want that bang, 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 bang. I want 3 bang, 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 3 of those. She's like, dude.
calm down.
Calm the fuck down. nobody's going to buy us, 5 of those 2-gallon, Le Creuset.
Right.
But I will say I got one, anyway.
Okay.
That's funny. And Orlando Bloom was there
Yes.
doing his thing. What did he want?
I know.
Did he
And
put
I also
anything
bumped
interesting?
in Andrew Martin. I really wish I bumped into Ralph Fiennes because I really love him as an actor, but it was his brother, the younger brother.
Joseph?
Joseph, yeah. So bumped into him one Saturday. I was working there. And then who else? I was also dealing with an order for Jason Donovan. He had his sofa delayed and he was quite distraught. So, yeah.
It's not a healthy look for Joseph Donovan.
It happens to everybody.
Joseph is upset. Joseph is quite distraught over his sofa that's gone.
Where's my sofa?
I know. Where's the sofa?
I know. God. I mean, I would too if my sofa had gone awry.
Right.
We have expectations. That's crazy. That's cool. I love those kind of stories because you do get a glimpse into, and again, some of these celebrity people, except for the Thai princess, they're regular people. I don't know if I could categorize the Thai princess as regular folk.
No,
regular folk.
Yeah.
Maybe people are like bowing and kneeling and stuff.
So interesting. So weird.
That's not regular.
So when you think about design, not as decoration, how do you see it? What happens? Like, is the right word metamorphosis, or does something have to fall apart in someone's world or space to allow for real change? Does that?
I think in most cases something has to fall apart, as people hardly sort of seek change when they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And so usually there is some dramatic event that is prompting a desire to go deeper, as it happened in my case. But I would say that what I have discovered is that interior design deals with surface. It's the level of expression. What I have to add to the process is identity and a structure. And it seems like the interior design is not really entertaining those topics. So when I say identity, sometimes identity changes and environment stays the same. So we've seen that, when Amelia Sordell changed her background. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So she was, and the environment, she had run these lives and there was just a plain background and it was very uninspiring. She's very inspiring as a person, but the background was very uninspiring. And then, one day she's like, I'm in my new studio. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like a deep red, very sort of expressive, very seductive.
Yep.
There was this picture of Playboy image that there was like a plant just in front of it. I don't know if you've noticed that one. There were also her books that kind of signaled the authorship. There were letters, so the community she's building. There were little cars, the playfulness. There was a candle, incense sticks, the atmosphere. And I kind of thought, like, finally, the environment is catching up with her. And sometimes you have it the other way around. So, for example, people get divorced and then they find themselves in a different type of environment, and then identity has to readjust. So it's like they go from we to suddenly I, and no longer we. And, it takes time for that to sink in, especially if there are children in the mix, etc. You have to completely rebuild your life, rebuild your space on most occasions. So I personally think the identity isn't really addressed in a way that, in my opinion, deserves attention. And then there's also a structure. So structure is, what is the environment reinforcing, enabling? Is it helping you to become a person that you want want to be, or is it preventing you from doing so? And I think, there is this, many people talk about, show me your 5 friends and I tell you what your life, you've heard of that one, but I would also add, it's not just about people, it's also about the environment. And there was a psychologist called Lewin with his field theory, where he basically said that the behavior is basically an equation of the environment and the people. Okay, and I think this really needs to be, environment deserves much more attention that it does have, and when it does have, it's all very sort of surface level, because in my opinion the design criticism has been completely erased and it became a design marketing. I don't know if you've noticed that. And obviously all the TV shows that we have had did not do a service, was a huge disservice, and kind of contributed to a conditioning which resulted in very many people out there being very confused. And so people are scared to even hang the picture on the wall,
Sure.
and it's also what I have noticed, with the environments and interiors, there's a lot of signaling going on. So people like to signal that if they can hire so and so, let's say Kelly Hoppin, so she can do her imprint in their space, in their interior, then they're at a certain level, because not everybody can afford to hire Kelly Hoppin. And it's kind of interesting. She has like 2-tier service. So she has one where she works directly with a client, and that service is personalized, although you can see her favorite pieces of furniture do reappear in a variety of the projects, even with the personalized service. And then she has a service which she calls the Kelly Hoppin style. And the Kelly Hoppin style, so she basically trained the Kelly Hoppin clones, and they design in Kelly Hoppin style. So, if someone loves her so much, they can have a Kelly Hoppin imprint in their home and live in that. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
and
you know what? No, go ahead. No, you know what I find interesting, because I've I've been in a couple of really wealthy people's homes, and
were they aware of it?
Them, and one of them, and the difference is, the one of them, it was like the entire home was built by an architect and one designer, and so you go from room to room to room to room, and they are all exactly the same design.
Yeah,
like it was on purpose. Like the entire aesthetic, very modern, but exactly the same paint color, every single room, furniture looking the same, built-ins all the same, everything the same.
Yeah.
And you get that, and they liked that. That was their thing. He was very into modern design, and that worked for him. And then I've been in another home where every room was like you were in a completely different house.
Okay.
So is the decisions for both of those types of designs, it's really based on the person's personality, right?
Well, I think that there's a different question. I would say what people like to call style or personality. The real question is what made you think that if you like something, for example, who's responsible for you liking it? Okay, because I think there's a lot of conditioning happening in this arena, and as I said, there's a certain aesthetic that people like to adopt depending on the. This sounds horrible. Okay, on the class that they belong to, or here in for example in London, so you have the area of Knightsbridge or Chelsea, and there's a very sort of particular aesthetic that people go for. And if you go for this type of aesthetic, that you are a part of a certain social group. So if you say, this is my house, people know exactly where to where you belong within the society. Okay, I mean, it's so funny because in London, if like strangers meet, and the two questions that you're most likely to hear is, what do you do for a living and where do you live?
Right.
You know, so people kind of want to know which bracket to put you in, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not India, but still, you know, I would say.
Right.
No, I hear you. Like that whole
is,
like
yeah.
Well, they do that in LA also. I remember
Yes.
that was the, you know, what do you do for work and what kind of vehicle do you drive? That was the big
so you have the
question there.
vehicle. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that was
here,
their thing.
where do you live? You know,
Yeah.
which
And
postcode?
my answer most frequently at that time in my life was, I don't have a job and I don't have a car. Those were very short conversations.
Yeah.
That's wild. You know, so while we got you here, I mean, Jeff, can we start with you? What does Jeff's background tell you about Jeff? And then let's say, what is my background saying about me? Is there anything that sticks out, like psychosis or?
No, I can see that you both like to put things on display, which is great because you are proud. You know, you are collectors. There's a difference between people who collect and people who hoard. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And I can see that you both are collectors because it's on display and you're proud to put it on display. Usually when people hoard, you don't want others to see it.
Yeah, it's secret and dirty.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, my wife was saying this before.
Yeah, like you can see, like I have like
I can see the music,
all the different museum of iPhones from the first one to the whatever.
Yeah,
but there's cameras up there too. But here's the thing: is even before we did these LinkedIn lives or even podcasts or whatever, I still had them up there because it was for me. It was the intention was there because I like looking at them. I have all these kind of things from the past in my office area.
So how many iPhones do you have?
How many different categories you mean? Mm-hmm. So I have cameras up here. I even have like the first digital camera takes a floppy disk. And then I have phones from like old Motorola flip phones, and it goes all the way to, you know, modern iPhones. And then I have a Victrola record player in the main part of the room. Mm-hmm. I have all these different things from different ages. But they're most of them are like electronics and things. That's what I'm into.
Amazing.
So
yeah, okay. I've been up in Jeff's office a few times, mostly when he's not home. But
right, that whole breaking and entering.
It's so funny. Yeah, Jeff's got all this like audio tech, you know, gear in that upper floor, and it's really interesting. But you take care of it, you know.
I do. I keep things, you know, dust free, and I
can see because it's nicely sort of lined up on the top shelf.
Yeah, I like looking at it. They're nostalgic for me, but I like the tech feel of it. That, you know, that things happen this way, right? They start from somewhere and then they end up here.
Yeah.
But they had to start all the way back there, you know.
I'm a displayer of things, and my wife was like, dude, do not just recreate your old office in here. This is a brand new office for me. And she was like, please do not with the junk and the stuff. Because I had but in my old office, it was a cubby hole in a wall. So the rest of the room was behind me. There you go, Jeff. What is that?
Well, because Rob commented, he said floppy disk. It is. Okay. It's right here. It takes the 5 1/4 floppy disk.
I think at this point I've tried to behave myself. I've got my books, I've got my records on the wall, I've got, you know, stuff, but I've tried to go like, that's enough. Like you don't need more. Just less is more. Is less more, or is that just a fad?
It really depends, you know. You have two opposing camps. You have minimalists and then you have maximalists, you know, and they're both proud of minimalists, of not acquiring much, and you know, they claim that they have this life where they're feeling light. I don't know if you remember, I once posted about the artist who destroyed all his possessions, and it was kind of hilarious because the whole installation took place on Oxford Street, which is a busy shopping street in London, and he had this you know, assembly line running, and everything was being destroyed, including his passport, his artwork. He was being criticized for that, you know, and then he realized that he was actually much poorer at the end of it. Because he got rid of everything. But he did say that it was freeing, although
liberating.
it took him time to readjust, because once everything was being stripped, you know, he found it to be an interesting experience. Yeah. And something similar is happening in India. I'm not sure if you're aware, but people who are more spiritual. I mean, we know about Gandhi. I think when he died, he had about 5 or 6 possessions, and people tend to start getting rid of stuff once they know the time is getting closer, and that is symbolized that, you know, that they're not being attached to this physical sort of reality, and the physical world is nothing to kind of, you know.
Well, it reminds me of a book I got last Christmas. Not quite sure what they were trying to tell me. It was Swedish Death Cleaning. Have you heard of that one?
No, Swedish Death Cleaning.
Swedish Death Cleaning. And it's a book by a Swedish woman who, the whole book is about how, you know, when you're getting closer to the end, it's really, her supposition is that it's a really healthy idea to start to get rid of stuff, you know, so that when you leave this world, you're not leaving your family with all this crazy to go through. And like to clean up, kind of start preparing yourself for end of life by cleaning up things that aren't relevant. You know, when we look around our homes, we had a mud room, what we call in America a mud room. It's supposed to be where you leave your muddy boots and your wet shoes and you hang your coat. Ours was just a receptacle for shit we didn't know where to put. And it was disturbing. We knocked that down and built a garage and bedroom. And it's funny, as you mentioned before, you know, our addition's done, but my wife is still, you know, I'm like, are you ever going to put these pictures on the wall? She's like, I don't know. I don't know where to, I don't know if we should go there or go there. And I'm like, we got to just like get it up there. You know, she's like, I don't want to put a hole in the wall. I'm like, this, eventually we must, you know, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny. It's funny that, you know, in terms of India, because recently this is just recent in my 50s, I've become obsessed with watching videos of tours of people's, you know, like mini dwellings, right? So like mini homes or micro homes, or even I started watching a whole series of canal longboats in England, believe it or not. and what I'm realizing is it's not just that people have downsized and really got to the essential things that they need, but how creative they were to use a small space. And really, some of these places are beautiful. Like they're super, not only are they beautifully done and designed, but they're so like efficient in terms of they have all the same areas that I have, but I have to deal with all of this. And wouldn't it be easier if I only had to deal with the smaller space? Like that's what I'm thinking in my head when I'm watching this.
Okay.
No, I was just saying, you know, in terms of, I think even if the space is smaller, I think the design is so important, right? Even more so probably than even in the bigger space.
You have to be super clever if you're working within a small space, because you don't have the luxury to, you know, if you know, it's I don't know if you've seen, Japan is a good country for that. When I went there, I actually stayed in a capsule hotel. I don't know if you've ever had the experience. So it's basically like quite a tiny room, and you know, and also saw videos of people where they live in these super tiny apartments, and you have to be super skillful in being able to manage life within a tiny space. There's most recently a hotel open up in London, and I think they've taken it to an extreme, because basically you can only just barely sit inside that. It's like a coffin. So you just you come late at night after you had your whatever, and you just lie down and you re-emerge.
Crawl into your cocoon.
That's a little too extreme for me. Yeah.
Funny.
It's a central location, and if you want to stay centrally located, you don't have that much time. Could be an option.
Well, I think it's interesting when you travel, you think about it and you go, look, how much time are we going to spend in this room? I'd rather spend the money or the time, make the effort to go places and experience than, I look at the hotel as, it's a base of operation.
Bathroom.
It's different, I think, on any kind of a cruise ship, which at this point in my life, I just think are disturbing. But I do recall going on a few cruises, and after the first one, I was like, dude, we got to get one of those estate rooms with the balcony and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Because you kind of need they're small anyways, but it's more than just a home base, Also, I wanted to mention here that Gary did say that he's visited Gandhi's room and he can confirm that it was there. It's interesting. He's saying it gave me the feeling of someone that's frustrated with the world. Is Amber frustrated with the world?
No, this is another one. So this one is called Apricot.
Apricot. I love the way you say that, by the way. Thank you. How do you say
Are we gonna throw around aubergine or capsicum?
This is my cat aubergine. I love it. Phaedra made it in, our good friend Phaedra.
Yes.
And Rod says he treats every spring cleaning like a good Swedish death metal cleaning. I think that's what he's trying to say. That's wild.
Yes.
I wanted to mention when it comes to Gandhi. So yes, I visited, as Gary mentioned, I visited his rooms where he stayed, because it's interesting. He did not own the space. He was staying in rooms that belonged to wealthy patrons. And there were quite a few rooms, and they were all very bad. You could count the possessions maybe on two of your hands.
That's wild.
So, yeah.
So if you were to have, let's say, 5 possessions, what would they be?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think
apricot and crazy thing. I'm going to show you. Okay. Now you'll see what I collect. Okay.
Collect books, obviously, too.
I love it.
Are you ready for this?
My goodness! I love that.
Goodness.
You love that?
Yes.
What do you think? So I got this. Okay, so this is actually a headdress that I managed to get from Myanmar. Can you see what it's made of?
Is it shells or
is it teeth?
No.
Oh,
you could do this, Peter.
Are they fingers?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so these at the top, they're the pig's tusks, and this is cow's teeth.
Oh, yeah, I thought they were teeth. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear that to the dentist next time I go.
Is that some kind of a Scandinavian design?
So do you collect headdresses or just the bones?
Yeah, I just collect weird stuff, or just things that somehow speak to me. Let me just see what else I've got here. 1 second. So I've got this thing. So we've got this is a citrine, and this one I got from India, and it's actually a bracelet. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
And it's got these really sharp spikes.
Gnarly.
Quite dangerous. But I was wondering whether they would wear this as a self-protection. So I found this in an antique shop.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And you never found the answer to what they wore those for? Was it for self-protection, or was it Some kind
I
of
think so.
a wedding night device or something.
Oh my God. He went there.
Why would you turn that into something weird? Maybe
there's no key. There's no key on it.
Yeah, I do love collecting strange items, and my wife very much hates me for it. But it's very much like her father. Her father does the same thing. If he and I see, like, if I see an estate sale, I will open the door and roll out and go to it. I want stuff. I want everyone's stuff. I want the weirder, the better.
Right.
Have you ever picked up a weird thing that you were like, I think it's got some bad juju, I want to give it back?
I actually have one. Do you want me to show you?
Yes, I do. You know I'm obsessed.
Everybody wants to see
now.
this.
If everybody left now, we'd still be doing this, though. And Rod's got to go. See, right on time. Rod, thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So if I pull the string.
Oh, it sticks out the tongue.
Oh my God.
That's wacky.
That is creepy. That is creepy.
Yes. It's not a real head, though.
Yeah, I know. I've had people telling me, like, you have all this stuff. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's
that
kind of the
stuff.
fun of having space to, like, have things, I mean, it's just an expression for me. My office is an expression of my interests and my life, right? This is how I feel, I surround myself.
Horseshoe crab, which is amazing.
I know.
Horseshoe crabs. It's like, who has horseshoe crab?
I know. They're so interesting. Their blood is blue and magic, But like isn't that what life's about? Is just finding the strange and enjoying it, and sharing it with others.
And I think it's also being able to listen to your own, it's like not being afraid to do what you want to do.
That's right.
Because I think people are afraid to do what they want to do. They just kind of feel they can't. Like in here, you have this color called magnolia. And it's like every other flat is painted with magnolia. That's like the #1 best-selling color. And it's like, please.
Yeah.
Please, just,
used to be beige in the
States. More to life than magnolia. It's like you want to spend your life in magnolia walls.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. We just painted our house blue with some yellow accents, and it was gray before. So when we moved in, there were lots of wasps and hornets that used to come inside the house and hang around. And I was like, the problem is that this house looks like a giant freaking nest. That's what it looks like. So no wonder we're having a problem. But it's interesting when you come down to that. Like my wife was saying, do you think this blue or this blue? And I'd be like, that blue. Really? Because I think, okay, that blue. Really? No. Which blue do you want me to choose? Is my question. And we came down to it, and I was like, I got to be honest, neither one of those blues. I don't want either of them. I don't like it. And we were going through the whole thing, and I was like, we got to try it, because we got to see what happens when you put it on a wall and it dries. It may change. Yeah. Right. And in fact, when they painted the house, she wasn't here, and I was like, oh my God, it's purple. The fuck, the whole house is going to be. It looks like with the yellow doors and accents. I was like, this looks like the LA Lakers built this house. But as it dried, it became a nice, rich blue. Yeah. So it's a good choice. We had another comment here, and I want to make sure we give, because he's new to the program and he's a friend of yours. Gary says his apartment has 2 rooms in a 40-year-old hotel for 5 years. Functional, mostly decorated with gifts from governments. You lucky fellow. Friends, many mementos, dozens of other countries. Effectively, every item has a work story within the world of disaster management. Interesting. And Dagmar, you were always interesting and amazing outlook on the world and your surroundings. So there you go. I love it. And that's the way, actually, Dagmar, when we do design work for branding, or I always look at it and I tell them that, I say, before you judge, I want to show you the design, but I want to tell you what the intent was behind the shapes or the setup or the orientation of it, because there's a story to be told here. And you have to understand that story before you make a judgment. I just quickly want you to know. And they go, it changes the way people view it, rather than me just sending over a look and going, what do you think?
Right.
It never works out well like that. But when people start to understand that a design, whether it's a room designed or an item, that there's a story behind it. There's a reasoning
and an intent.
And an intent. Right. It changes the impact, I think. Do you agree, disagree?
No, absolutely. And I think it also helps you if the space reflects you. I mean, what better thing could you wish for, and imagine if you're living in somebody else's design, if you're living in somebody else's vision of what is beautiful, you might be signaling the belonging to a certain group, but you cannot feel like you are progressing, So I personally think I wish people were a bit more adventurous. I wish they were a bit more expressive. And I personally, like when I used to introduce myself as an interior designer, people would ask me the question, so what's your style? and I was like, what's my style? Where, I'm a chameleon. When I work for people, if you really want to design well for someone, you need to know them well.
That's
and,
right.
Because I did not want to be a type of a designer, you have to now adopt my aesthetic. Obviously some of my input would leaked in because it's inevitable. But at the same time, I wanted the space to be about them, to be them. And not many people are actually doing that, because it's so much easier to just sell or work within a particular style, or jump on a trend wagon. I don't know if there was this trend of a sad beige mums on TikTok. I don't know if you kind of heard of that, and everything was beige.
Yeah,
beige. Yes,
it's very depressing.
Very beige.
Imagine, the nurseries, these women just were repainting the bright colors, and they were speaking to these children like, this is grayish.
Yeah,
beige.
I'll tell you what my pet peeve though with any of that is, like, my in-laws moved. They sold their house and they moved up to this other house, and they didn't now they're older and I get it, but like, they didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Like, they just brought their furniture from the old house into the new house, kind of arranged it the way it was before. The rugs that came with the house are still there. The walls, the wallpaper, everything's this. And I'm like, ew.
Wow.
Right.
Like, no. Like, no. Unless it was unbelievable and you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But I was like, oh shit. I think there's a real opportunity and to regrow, evolve when you move into a new space, to change things and make them for yourself. Because I think if you stay in the same way all the time, it's sort of indicative that you don't change. And we as people, we're always changing. And your space, it doesn't have to be drastic, but even for us here, we do sort of our living room is set up a certain way in the winter and a certain way in the summer. And it's kind of nice. It's a breath of, it's fresh. So we're running up on our time. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with? I'm so happy everyone that came in and got to meet you today.
Yes.
And I'm telling you strongly here, if you don't know Dagmar and you're not connected on LinkedIn, drop her a note and say hi, because as you can see here, she is fantastic.
Fabulous.
Anything you want to leave our audience with? Any nuggets of truth, fact, science, allegations?
I wish that more people would try their best to find a way home. I think if more people did that, we'll be living in a much happier world. And I think that's what's currently missing. I think many people out there are quite lost, not really knowing what they what they're doing with themselves and with their lives. So
Mm.
yeah, my wish is for more people to find a way home.
I'm honestly, Dagmar, I'm just trying to find a way out of my home. Just trying to get out.
Yeah.
Anyway, absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
For everybody for coming in today. And if you've missed this episode, or if you want to catch the front end of it, or any of the episodes that we do on Where the Dogs of Society Howl, yes, if you YouTube search it, you'll end up with a bunch of Elton John videos, which is not a bad thing. You know, you can find us on YouTube on the Brandartica channel. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else great podcasts live. So thank you so much for coming in today, Dagmar. And we're going to let the rest of these people go back. That was an hour on the knob, and none of you are going to get that hour back. So there you go.
That's too bad.
It's ours now.